What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Kostiw, and today I've got a great episode in store for you. Today on the show, we will cover Kyrie Irving reportedly being at an impasse with the Brooklyn Nets and predict what his future will look like. We will also be looking at the Boston Celtics and the new reports claiming that they are the favorites to land Wizard star Bradley Beal. We'll touch upon the second retirement of tight end Rob Gronkowski. And finally, we will wrap things up by covering the Red Sox calling up their number 5 prospect, Jeter Downs. With all this news to cover, I am happy to say that I have a special guest joining me on the show today. He is currently playing Division III baseball at Colby College and is also a co-host on the Peyton Priv Sports Hour with Josh Houle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Josh Houle. Josh, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's a huge honor to be here.
Absolutely. Obviously, when I was asking you about kind of your previous experience with podcasting, you told me about a little show you did up at Colby College. You told me what to call it, but obviously the Peyton Priv Sports Hour with Josh Houle is just a smaller version of what the name of this show is. What was the full name of the show again?
Peyton likes to give a little rib to me. He calls it the Peyton Priv Sports Hour with NCAA certified registered official catcher Josh Houle.
I love that. That's amazing.
He's got a good way with words, that is for sure.
Yeah, that is definitely a way with words there. I don't know how he doesn't trip over it every time he does the intro.
Oh, no, he does it nice and slow. Nice little emphasis. Just looks at me the whole time.
Wow, that is a dig, but I love that. But yeah, so obviously we're going to be touching upon a lot of stuff on the show today, but I did mention that you are playing college baseball right now. I learned that you have a really interesting story in getting to college baseball. Obviously, you didn't play at your own high school, and you were able to walk on to Colby College and play there. What was that whole experience like? Kind of run me through it.
Yeah, so my freshman year of high school, I went to St. John's in Shrewsbury. It's an all-boys day school.
Yeah.
So obviously, all the kids there, they play sports at some level.
Yeah.
So first day of tryouts, there's like 80 kids trying to make, I don't know, about 30 spots over 2 teams, maybe about 15 varsity, 15 JV. So it's obviously going to be, you're fighting back from the start.
It's
you're
the
underdog story.
Yeah.
So I actually never ended up playing at St. John's. I tried out my freshman and junior year, and I got cut both years.
Okay.
But I still played a lot of summer ball at an elite level. I did a lot of college prospect camps, and I still traveled. We ended up going to New Jersey, Myrtle Beach, all those areas. So I was able to get my name out.
Mm-hmm.
And during my college recruitment phase, I had talked with a few coaches, and they were all like, hey, we love what you bring, but like try to make it in on your own, and then you can try walking on.
Mm-hmm.
And when I made my decision to come to Colby, I made it more for an academic choice. I never really tried to walk on for baseball there. I just wanted to get the best academic and price ratio.
Yeah.
So fast forward to my freshman year fall semester, it's like the 3rd week. I see the baseball team practicing on the field. It's gorgeous, brand new turf field.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, you know what? I might as well just give it a shot. So I ended up contacting the coach. He's like, yeah, hey, come down for a tryout. I went. It was a fun day. Got to meet some of the guys. The guys were super welcoming. I got my results from the coach 2 days later. He invited me to be part of their program, and it's one of the best decisions I've made. That's a great
honor, man. I mean, I wish you the best of luck as you continue throughout your college career, and I hope that you get to really get some more time and become a part of that program even more.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's definitely a big change of culture from these past 4 years.
Absolutely. I mean, I as someone who I played at a smaller high school. Obviously, I played at Sutton. You have like 400 kids in the entire school, so it's a very much smaller kind of approach than a St. John's is. So I know I got the luxury of being able to play high school baseball. It was a great honor, but definitely it must have been a real challenge probably not having that school experience and then having to go into college and play like that. What was that like?
Yeah, so definitely when you're not in a high school, you're kind of already scratched off in a lot of college coaches' minds. So like if you're not good enough to play a high school ball, then they're starting to already put question marks next to your name.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to also factor in what kind of high school did you play at?
Yeah.
Like if you're playing high Division I Massachusetts, you're going to end up somewhere pretty decent.
Oh,
I know a lot of St. John's kids are playing at Clark University in Worcester.
Yeah.
My friend pitches at Stevens after he was cut.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have like the small town heroes, like Douglas and Sutton. Those kids make the constant rosters, and they're big names in the Black Sun Valley.
Yeah.
But you don't really see them get much attention at higher levels.
Yeah.
So I think definitely a lot of summer ball helps people from our area get their name out to colleges.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps elevate the names a lot and gets them to that, level that they can, really show off just beyond what their town, can provide for them. So it's definitely a great opportunity. And I'm glad that you got your opportunity through summer ball. However, we do have a lot to cover on the show today. So I say we dive in and let you get back into some of your radio show, expertise.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So obviously the first thing that we had to talk about was Shams Charania reported that Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets are reportedly at an impasse on a contract extension. Kyrie apparently can turn down a $36 million option, somewhere, even north of that range, and become a free agent this summer. Very interesting news here. Obviously, I remember Stephen A. Smith saying that if he was the Brooklyn Nets, he wouldn't give Kyrie Irving anything more than a 1-year deal because he just doesn't trust the fact that he's going to be able to stay on the court, not because of injuries, but because of everything else. So I don't know. This is kind of interesting news coming up here. The fact that Kyrie can't really reach a deal with them. What do you think is probably going to be the most likely result?
The way I see it, when Kyrie's always entered free agency, he's played the hot hand.
Yes.
After he left the Cavs, went to the Celtics, who were red hot at the time, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and he has a good few years there. But then after he leaves the Celtics, he joins another up-and-coming super team in the Nets.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he kept playing that hot hand. He sees who's going to be the best next team, who's going to be the next LeBron team, where unstoppable, they literally can do anything they want at their own will. I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to reach out to the Warriors.
Warriors. Wow. That'd be okay. That's actually a very interesting. I had no idea that you would even come close to saying that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't care about loyalty.
I mean, yeah.
He just wants the ring. And the Warriors right now are going to be the best path to that.
I mean, I can see that, but I just don't think that with Kyrie Irving's game, I don't know how you could move around a guy like Curry and Klay Thompson to a way where it could, effectively work. I mean, they're going to try to bring back Andrew Wiggins. They're going to try to bring back Jordan Poole. So I just don't know how that's all going to work out together. But so if in your mind, the Warriors would be a premier destination for you. But from what I've seen, there are 3 teams apparently in the running right now that have at least been, made official as suitors for him. And it's the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Knicks. Obviously the Knicks, I just love that are in there just because it's like, yeah, we're the Knicks. Like we're just trying to do anything at this point, man. So out of those 3 teams, which one do you think Kyrie Irving is the most likely to go to?
I think he'll go out west.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it'll be Clippers or Lakers, but I definitely think he will, like what Mike guessed with Golden State. I think he definitely wants to join the West Coast.
Yeah.
Basketball in that scene has always been strong in the past 5 to 10 years. So I think wherever he ends up, it's going to be a positive impact for that team, no matter how long it is.
Yeah.
If they can put up with his off-court antics.
Yeah, I agree there. I think that in my mind, it's got to be the LA Lakers if he leaves. I mean, listen, the Clippers, it would be cool, but I just don't know how exactly he's going to fit in with that system. The Knicks, sure, if he just wants to go out there and become, the king of New York, run his show out there, fine, man, go and do that. Have your fun, but that's only going to last for so long. In my opinion, if Kyrie Irving wants success, which I think him, possibly backing out of this deal is, I would say it's for him to go to the Lakers and pair up with LeBron James once again. And I think for him, I think after things splintered with James over in Cleveland, I think he was able to mend that relationship a little bit better. I think they're on better terms now, and LeBron understood that Kyrie was, in his mind, just trying to go out there and prove himself, and Kyrie I think respects LeBron a lot more. Obviously, I think that Kyrie is a head case of his own right and has some issues there, but I think for him looking over at LA, I don't think he'll see himself as LeBron's sidekick anymore and just see him on a big 3 of him, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. I think he won't feel like he's playing second fiddle at this point, but just as another piece to that puzzle.
No, I totally agree with that. And even if things off court will be maybe a little awkward at first,
yeah,
you have to remember another great duo that did terribly off the field was Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez.
Oh yeah, that was a rough duo off the field. I mean, they were completely different personalities. They had no, and they just didn't really, mesh together well at all. The media tried to force them to, and then the media also then tried to force them apart. But it, that is a very similar relationship to where I think LeBron, maybe isn't as, stoic as a guy like Derek Jeter is, but I'd say he's much more, obviously dedicated to the game, focused on playing basketball at a high level and doing that. Whereas Kyrie Irving is kind of focused on almost everything else.
Yeah.
So I think that that is a very similar kind of approach, but Yeah, I think it has a much better odds of working out, mostly because they can say, all right, this is what went well in Cleveland before. This isn't what went well. So let's try to build off that and go from there.
As long as they both succeed on the court and they can avoid the headlines, I think they would mesh together.
I think it would too. And I think for the Lakers' sake, it would be the best thing possible, especially, getting rid of Russell Westbrook, who's just been an absolute atrocity out west. He's been awful.
He had that one amazing triple double season. I just feel like he's been slowly declining ever since, especially last year.
Yeah, I think that Russell Westbrook has a little bit more left than what he's shown. I mean, I remember the biggest thing that just showed how bad he was doing was when NBA 2K lowered him to a 79 overall in the game. I was like, you're joking. Like, this is like they couldn't even keep him in the 80s anymore. I was like, this is bad. But they lowered Westbrook down. I think that Westbrook can succeed in other situations. I just don't think it's with the Lakers. I think that, LeBron needs a more, obviously Westbrook can do good things with the ball, but I think he needs someone who is a much better shooter, like someone of Kyrie Irving's caliber. I think they get I don't know exactly what type of a system Russell Westbrook would need to be in, but probably just one where he just doesn't need to be the initial shot producer at the top of the key.
I agree with you on that. When you see the success that he had in Oklahoma, he was just that guy, the guy they relied on. I think he just needs to I just think he didn't mesh with his teammates that well with the Lakers. He just needs to find someone that he has that instant chemistry with, because you can be great by yourself personally.
Yeah.
You can be great on the court. But if you don't have that chemistry with your teammates, you're going to have a lot of turnovers with the passes. You don't know where they're going to be. You just need to find someone that clicks with them.
Absolutely. I think he'll definitely try to find someone that clicks with him. I think LeBron James is that guy. So in my opinion, it's going to be the Lakers. But at the same time, there's a part of me that thinks he's just going to be like, you know what? I want to be the star again, like I was in Boston. I'm going to New York, baby. That there is a part of me that thinks that, but I don't know. I if he wants the best possible situation outside of Brooklyn, I would say go to the Lakers.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the only reason why I could possibly see the Knicks would just be as a major middle finger to the Nets.
Yeah, that pretty much would be it. But there are talks that maybe he could mend the relationship with the Nets, maybe take a 1-year deal, prove it type of situation, say, hey, I want to go win a ring with you. That's obviously up in the air, but as of right now, if things do go south, I think we definitely agree that the Lakers of those three teams would be the best possible situation there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The next thing in NBA news that we have to talk about, obviously, is our beloved Boston Celtics. Josh, I was at your house when we saw their season come to a tragic end. It was definitely sad, but, obviously they're, with all the players in this team being extremely young, it's promising for what they can build for going forward. And with that being so, it looks that there's a possibility that they may just be trying to, go for it right again. Marcus Smart ended up saying that, we got a taste of it. Now we want the whole thing. There's a chance that, they're trying to go for that whole thing right now in one off season, as an online sports book called Sports Betting AG posted their odds for the 3-time All-Star Bradley Beal to land on a new team. Apparently the Boston Celtics are the favorite with 3-1 odds for him to come there. So, obviously Bradley Beal has a history now of being friends with Jason Tatum. They grew up, I guess, back in Louisville together, so they're extremely close. That would be a crazy deal to get him here. Obviously, he currently has a 1-year player option. I think he can decline it for, I believe, this summer or next summer. There's something going on there, either with a trade deal or something going on, but there are talks about getting Bradley Beal to Boston. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, if he takes that, what are we gonna have to pay for a player like Bradley Beal?
I mean, he's gonna want max money.
Exactly. And the Celtics have known to make the big dips in the free agency, and they haven't exactly really worked out.
Yeah.
When we signed Kemba Walker 3 years ago, we thought he was going to be that piece that we needed to win that championship. And he ended up he wasn't horrible for us, but he was just okay.
Yeah. The thing about Kemba Walker with me is, half the time, frankly, more than half the time, you turn on the Celtics broadcast and they wouldn't be talking about how good Kemba's doing the game. They'd be talking about how good he looks in that suit on the sidelines because he was injured again. That's typically what you'd see out of Kemba Walker.
Right. I just feel like anytime that the Celtics make a major dip in the free agency, it ends up really backfiring on them.
Yeah.
They're better with the draft than they are, I think, free agency.
Yeah. The draft with the Celtics, it's kind of like a slow burn to where you don't necessarily see all the moves coming together at once. Obviously, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, those obviously you saw immediate impacts from, but guys like Rob Williams, guys like Grant Williams too, you didn't see the immediate impact of them. Peyton Pritchard took a little bit to get going. So they definitely do a little bit better in the draft, but even getting guys like Al Horford in free agency, getting, what Gordon Hayward was a good pickup besides, with everything coming into it, despite the injury. So, there were a lot of good pickups that we can make in free agency. I think we've just had bad luck. A guy like Kemba Walker too. I mean, he was a 30-year-old, undersized point guard that relied on explosiveness and speed. That's always going to be a recipe for disaster. He's not a guy like Steph Curry that's going to be able to, chuck up shots and, have the majority of them go in from beyond 3-point range. He was always known for, really just being explosive, and, those knees aren't going to hold up forever. It's a similar situation to a Derrick Rose in a sense. So I never thought that was going to be the best move. I liked it, but I was always kind of weary of that because he was older. We obviously did learn that was going to haunt us at this point. Bradley Beal is in the prime of his career. He's I believe 28, going to be 29 years old. He's taller. He's 6'3", and he's a slashing guard / forward. So I think that he'd be great to complement this system. The only thing that I don't want to see us happen though is if we were to trade for him, have us part with some of our big assets. Like obviously, if we're going to trade for him, we're going to have to give up something here. But if it comes to us giving up Jaylen Brown to get him, which I saw a Nesson article talking about, saying, yeah, this is how you get Bradley Beal to Boston. I'm like, all right, but I feel like
he's a core component to this team right now.
Yeah, I just don't see the idea. I just don't see that working where, obviously Jason Tatum is young. I think he's probably the better of those two, but Jaylen Brown had the better NBA finals. He looked 100%. More ready for the moment. So I just don't see how that's going to work out.
The only reason where I can possibly see the logic of Jaylen Brown is I think he only has 1 year left on his contract.
I believe two,
where that's a good trade. That's a good trade bait because he'll have a year or two with Washington. Say he does get traded.
Yeah.
Then he makes a decision if he wants to re-sign with that, or he could potentially come back.
Yeah.
But I don't see that.
Yeah. I hear always the thing of, oh, you could come back. You could come back to Boston. You never see that. No. The only time I think I've ever seen that was with Aroldis Chapman getting traded from the Yankees to the Cubs and then re-signing with the Yankees. Outside of that, you never see that. Once the guy is traded, he ain't coming back unless it's like at the end of his career, he's trying to like
Rich Hill kind of vibe.
Yeah, something like that. If you trade Jaylen Brown, he's not re-signing. Like that's something you hear all the time. It's not happening.
No, and not only that, does basketball have a salary cap?
They do have a cap, yeah.
Bradley Beal is going to want max money, and with the contract we have with Tatum, and say if we do re-sign Brown and we ended up giving some other assets away, how are we going to fit that in the cap with 3 superstar players?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, our depth is gone. It's going to be a very similar situation to the Brooklyn Nets, where you don't have the greatest depth, and you're relying upon those 3 guys. And seeing the way things went with Brooklyn, it obviously didn't end well this season. They were able to make a better run last year, but I don't know. I feel, looking forward at this year, I'd like to see us be able to get some players to plug in place and, build up some of our depth, because I think that's really what killed us in this finals, besides Jason Tatum not showing up. What really killed us was just the fact that we had no bench that Ime Udoka could rely upon. We saw that in Game 6, where he was just keeping Tatum and Brown out on the court because he had no other option. So I think that we definitely need to improve our depth, get some other guys to, really fill out this lineup. And, that would be a big move for me.
Yeah, I agree with you definitely on that. I just think as great as it would be to land someone like Beal, I think we could be focusing more on the guys that can replace our starters that we can rely on in the crunch time, where we don't have to put our guys to the brink of playing like Jimmy Butler did in 2020 against the Lakers. By the time Game 6 rolled around, he was just toast.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I want to take a look here and look up some NBA free agents for 2022. Some potential guys, like role player guys. Obviously you're going to see the big stars like James Harden, Bradley Beal, all those guys as potential guys, but there are other options too. I think I saw Bobby Portis as a potential option. You see Joe Ingles as an option. I think he'll demand a pretty decent contract. Serge Ibaka, Derek Jones, Montrezl Harrell. There are some interesting guys at the that the Celtics could go after. PJ Tucker would be interesting to fill out some depth. So there's obviously some options as to guys we could go and get. So I don't know. We're gonna have to take a look and see what we can do. Yeah.
I agree with that. Definitely. It's going to be fun to watch the free agency as the time gets near.
Yeah. We got a comment from Matt Lab. It said, hey, if the Celtics can afford it, maybe make a move on Tyus Jones. If it doesn't involve moving a lot of the core around. I see Tyus Jones around, Matt, that's a good option. I mean, I would definitely say, he's a great piece. I would say, for the Celtics, that's not a bad pickup.
No, definitely not. It's just about what do you want to sacrifice to get that. I think it would make a sense. It's a good logical move. I just hope you can make the right move.
Yeah.
That's not a bad pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Obviously, that's kind of what we have in store for NBA news today. Now we're going to end up moving over into NFL news. I'm wearing the shirt of the man of the hour in the NFL right now. Number 87, Mr. Rob Gronkowski, for the second time has announced his retirement from the NFL. The first time I was pretty emotional about it because Rob Gronkowski was my favorite player in all of football. I went to his camps back in the day. I went to like a lot of that stuff with him. Loved him as a player. I know a lot of people in New England are like, oh, Tom Brady's my guy. No, Rob Gronkowski was my guy here. I love Tom Brady and everything he was able to do with the Patriots. Obviously appreciate it. But if you want your guy, Rob Gronkowski was my guy. Similar to how a lot of people in Boston were like, oh my God, David Ortiz, love him. For me, it was Dustin Pedroia. I just loved like kind of those guys. And I loved what they brought to the table. But yeah, I don't know, just looking at, this again, he's retiring after coming back. So the first time he retired, it was after Super Bowl 53. I was a senior in high school, was about to graduate. Everything was kind of crazy with that. I hear that Rob Gronkowski's retiring obviously was a very emotional moment when that happened. Now he has officially hung it up again, 4 years later. Comes back with the Bucks in 2020, wins Super Bowl 55 with Brady, goes from being a 3-time champion to a 4-time champion, put up some decent numbers down there in Tampa, but he's just saying he's ready to be done again. However, there is some reports coming out that Rob Gronkowski's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, reportedly said that Rob Gronkowski may not be completely done. And all it would frankly take is just a phone call from Tom Brady saying, hey, come back. We need you. The team's struggling. And he's saying that Rob Gronkowski could be right back. So for the second time, Rob Gronkowski has hung it up. Do you think he is done for good?
I think it is. It's finally time. I think all the injuries over the time, it's got to take a toll on the human body.
Oh, yeah.
How many knee injuries has he had?
I mean,
a ton.
Oh, he's had a ton of knee injuries. It's not even just the knee for him. It's not like, a lot of guys, it's like, oh, they got the knees that have been, bugging them for ages. With Rob Gronkowski, it's more than the knee.
It's everything.
It's the knee. It's the back. I mean, he's had freaking, I think 2 back surgeries, which for a guy at his height just isn't healthy. I mean, he's had multiple broken bones. It's just like that. And then you don't even factor in the concussions that he's had. Right. I mean, every NFL player has dealt with concussions. Imagine a guy like him, all the concussions that he's probably faced, because not only has he had to go over the middle and probably get absolutely destroyed by linebackers, he's also one of the better blocking tight ends in NFL history, and has had to deal with a lot of linemen coming at him as well. So the amount of head injuries that he's probably sustained is unreal. So again, when he retired, I was happy for him. I mean, obviously I was sad because I wasn't going to get to see Rob Gronkowski anymore, but I was happy because I remember him at there was like a press conference or something that he did. It wasn't a retirement press conference, but it was, I think, a couple months later where he was talking about like some CBD treatment that he got. And he was crying as to talking about all the pain he was in. And I was like, oh my God, as much as I want to see him on the field, I'm glad that he's done and he's able to, live a healthy life. Then he came back and that kind of soured that for me. But frankly, if he's actually serious about getting out of the game now, I wish him the best of luck. I hope that he's healthy the rest of his career and that just nothing else can come of it. If he does come back, I feel like it's just going to be like, all right, like, man, just make up your mind at this point. Like a retirement is just going to eventually become like him just wanting some extra time off. Yeah. And listen, man, if you need some extra time off, just take some extra time off. Like, don't play this freaking cat and mouse game. It's getting kind of annoying.
I think, honestly, I don't think he's retiring because he doesn't have the ability to play one more year.
Oh, no.
It's because I think his doctors are telling him if you get one more injury, you could have much worse consequences than anything else.
Yeah.
I think that's why Drew Rosenhaus is saying if Tom calls and they desperately need him, he would be open to rejoining.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, does he want to risk his future health? Because he's still in the eyes of the world, he's still a young guy.
Oh yeah, I mean he's what, like 34, 35,
around
like
there.
Yeah,
Like if you take one bad hit to the head, like, and it ends up the wrong hit the wrong way, and you end up going to the hospital, your whole future could be out the window because you decided to come back a third time.
he's 33.
Exactly.
He's extremely young. So, I mean, he's got a lot of time, still left in his life. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, one head injury could completely, throw him off the rails. So, I mean, hopefully he can get out of the game for good. I mean, in only 33 years of life, however many years he had in the NFL, I mean, he came in in 2010. So, little over, 12, like 11 to 10 years, was able to put up a Hall of Fame career. So, I mean, the legend speaks for itself. So hopefully he's able to just officially say, all right, for good, I'm done. This was kind of, in my opinion, during his time in New England, he proved he was the greatest tight end of all time. His time in Tampa was just the cherry on top.
Right. He put up good numbers in Tampa too. And he proved his legacy by winning Super Bowl 55.
He scored 2 touchdowns in that Super Bowl, was a key contributor in that game. So I think that for him, he's like, you know what? I've really just outdone myself at this point. The Bucks career was just kind of me coming back, making a statement, being like, I'm here.
Himself.
Yeah, it was the drop the mic moment. I was
exactly.
It was like, listen, I know people were talking about Travis Kelce and all he can do. Travis Kelce's a great tight end, by the way. But I think Rob Gronkowski was just like, all right, I'm going to come back, do my thing, and just walk off into the sunset. I hope that's the case this time and he doesn't, fall back into the trap of coming back again, but we'll have to see.
Right. And he was one of the last of the old school tight ends, those big guys that can bruise you and be great at blocking and then go down, catch a 30-yard pass.
Yeah.
We're coming into a new age of tight ends where it's all about the yards at the catch. Guys like Kelce, Darren Waller.
Yeah.
It's a new age of tight end. And I think Gronk will be one of the last of those great big bruisers.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree with you there. Gronk has just been an absolute force, and he is just a great, he's a funny guy. I don't know what he's going to do now after football. I mean, I know he tried to get into acting. He tried to get pro wrestling. The commentary bits that he did, I thought he was fine on commentary, but other people thought that he really wasn't that good. So I don't know what the next step for him is going to be. Apparently his agent said that he's excited to go out and pursue new things. But then again, he said that, he's one phone call away from putting the pads back on.
Right.
So I don't necessarily know what it's going to look like. Maybe this is really it for good. Frankly, for his health, I hope it is. But then again, we really do not know.
No, we don't. And because you think about it, you look at the Bucks tight end depth chart after Gronk, Cameron Brayton, that's about it.
Yeah.
So it's a very good possibility. We may see him come week 5.
Yeah.
So we're just hoping, if this is it, wishing him the best. He was one of the greatest of all time, not just in tight end, but a player.
Yeah.
So hopefully, God forbid, he makes the right decision here.
Yeah. Hopefully he does again. I mean, but then again, the saying, third time's a charm. So maybe he's going to have to just give it one more go, but who knows? That's what we have in store for you in NFL news, however. So finally, we're going to wrap things up by talking about some MLB news and talk about, another Boston sports, possibly up and coming star, possibly future trade bait. We don't know necessarily what this guy's going to be yet. Jeter Downs, the number 5 prospect in the Red Sox system, just got called up by Boston. Bit of a funny story in terms of how he got called up. Apparently, he got called up on Monday. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Worcester Red Sox play every single day but Monday. It's either a travel day or just a scheduled day off. For Jeter Downs, he slept in, had his phone on Do Not Disturb as the Red Sox were calling him repeatedly to say, hey, man, you're in the big leagues. And eventually his manager had to be like, hey, man, you're not trying to go to the league. Like, what's going on here? And eventually he was like, oh, my God, he was crying just because he was so happy about it. I think he's going to be possibly making a start today. So it looks like he's going to be coming in there. He's a shortstop / second baseman. So obviously for the Red Sox, that's kind of a log jam there right now. Yeah. So there are some questions as to what he's going to do. My brother has a prediction that maybe they'll try to, morph him into an outfielder. That's an interesting idea. I mean, similar to what Mookie Betts did. I mean, he came up as a second baseman in the Red Sox system, but they started to try him out in outfield down at the lower levels. He succeeded in that, and then they brought him up. So I don't necessarily know what that's going to look like. Maybe they do that with him, but I think that there's some definitely I think it's definitely an interesting situation there. I'm excited to see what he can do because I was actually I actually work with the Worcester Red Sox Foundation. I've been able to go to a couple games at Polar Park already, and I got to see him there. He's a good young prospect, but I'll give some more info on that later. What are your thoughts on this move, though?
I think it's a great move that they're calling up their prospects, because not only did they call up Jeter Downs, they recalled up Jaren Duran, who in his 4 or 5 games back with the Red Sox, he's been doing pretty well.
Yeah, he's been
on
looking
base a lot. He's been scoring a lot.
Yeah, he's definitely looking a lot better than he did last year. A lot of people were kind of questioning, what Jaren Duran really was going to be, because I was seeing him down in Worcester hitting absolute tanks. I mean, you see the home runs he was hitting down there, man. He was corkscrewing the ball out of the park.
Oh,
I
100%.
can't describe to you the way the ball was, coming off the bat. And Worcester's known for having a bit of a wind tunnel effect, to where you get it up, high enough, it's just going to blow right out of the park. And that's kind of what he was doing, where he was just annihilating baseballs.
And he's hitting it to the hardest part of the park. Polar Park, we all know, has the elevated wall in right field.
Yeah.
I can't call it the Green Monster because
it's blue.
It's blue. But I don't think Blue Monster has the same effect.
Not nearly as much.
But even though it reads 330 down to that wall, you still got to hit that about 370 to get it into the first row.
Yeah,
he's putting it over the third row.
Oh yeah, he's putting it over the Country Bank sign in right field. I mean, he was hitting it out of the stadium there. So I'm glad that he's getting up there now. Obviously, the power numbers haven't really come as much, so he's kind of more as a traditional leadoff hitter right now. So I'll have to see what really comes of that there. Jeter Downs, though, is a bit more of an interesting situation, because he hasn't really been doing too well down in AAA this year. He's batting $180 with 34 hits and 21 RBIs through 53 games. Obviously, I think I'm hitting $180 in summer ball right now. It's not great when you're hitting $180. You're not performing that well. So listen, I think that he's probably got I don't necessarily know what this means for the Red Sox. Will Middlebrooks had an interesting prediction, and was that Boston's basically just trying to bring up all their prospects now, have them compete at the big league level, and show them off to other clubs and say, hey, Jeter can compete at the big league level. We'll take one of your star players for him.
Right. And I think that's a good move, because again, you look at the middle infield for the Red Sox. You got Xander Bogart to Trevor Story. Trevor Story just signed, I think, a 5 or 6 year deal with us for a good deal. It was a good bargain value.
Mm-hmm.
Bogarts is coming up on the final years of his contract.
Yep.
So it could be, what's worst case scenario? Xander doesn't re-sign with the Red Sox. Let's put in Downs a few games during the regular season, because he may be the next guy to replace Bogarts.
Which part of me just really hates. I mean, I hate the fact that with the Red Sox and Xander Bogarts, it's gotten to this point to where they just can't come into an agreement. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as people are making it sound to be, but we still haven't, Xander Bogaerts doesn't have a contract with the Boston Red Sox. Nothing is certain for next year, which I don't like that. And I get that, there are reports that maybe Trevor Story was just told play second base for this year, and then you'll get your shortstop position back. He's looking good at second base. I don't know if I really want to move him off of that. I haven't seen this level of, comfort and safety at second base since Pedroia was here.
Right.
And, obviously Jeter Downs is a great prospect, but Trevor Story's proven what he's been able to do at 2 positions now in the big league level. Xander Bogaerts is an all-star level shortstop. Does he have the greatest defense? No, but he makes the plays that count. That's all that's all I want a guy for at shortstop to really do.
And not only that, he's a guy that at the plate, he's on fire. I think he's batting north of 350 right now.
He's on fire right now. I'll have to look at his batting average, but yeah, he's let me look at Xander Bogaerts right now. I got to find his batting average, but he has been tearing the cover off the ball.
Like he's been having one of his best years since that 2018 season.
Yeah, he's hitting 335.
335. Okay.
Yeah, he's not hitting 350. That's a little godly, but I mean, probably
it's close to that line too, which is scary.
Probably within the last couple of games, he's doing something around that. So he's definitely going to be an all-star this year with the way he's hitting. So he's doing absolutely incredible right now. Trevor Story is kind of taken some time to adjust to Boston too. I mean, he started off really bad, and then he was Babe Ruth for a little bit, and then
now he's finding his medium ground.
Yeah, so I think he's trying to find that. Jeter Downs, maybe this start in the big league level is enough for him to get a fresh start and say, all right, I got out of AAA, I was able to kind of get out of that area, and now I'm facing the better pitching. Let me, jump all over it. Maybe that happens, but at the same time, I just don't know.
Right. If your sources are right and he gets that start tonight, it's going to be interesting to watch, see how he can adjust.
Yeah.
Because you always take that first at bat and you watch how they stand. if they're nervous or if they're confident. It's all a matter of what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just don't know what it's going to be. I mean, listen, he was a part of that Mookie Betts deal. So a lot is riding, I think, on him to succeed at this point. I want him to succeed. I want, us to at least look somewhat competent in this Mookie Betts deal. Obviously, Verdugo is another piece of that. Connor Wong, who's a catcher, who's the starting catcher with the Paw Sox right now, was the third piece of that deal. So he's made some starts at the big league level, so he's looked all right so far. I think the Red Sox want him to get a little bit more development though. And then with Downs, he's the final piece of this puzzle. So I think a lot of people were saying, all right, Verdugo was the immediate return you're going to see. Jeter Downs was supposed to be all right.
Next in kin.
Well, here's the thing. Verdugo was essentially, all right, this is the young prospect that's already in the big leagues. You've already seen him a little bit and you can understand what he's going to bring to the table. Jeter Downs was kind of, all right, this is the guy that, this is like your really high incentive prospect for giving us Mookie Betts. And then Connor Wong was kind of just a throw in. If Jeter Downs doesn't work out, that spells a lot of trouble for the Mookie Betts trade and what we gave up. So I'm hoping he's able to come in and really prove himself here. I just am a little scared.
Yeah, I am too, a little bit. We're just hoping that, because you saw the immediate return with Verdugo. Wong, with the games he played with the Red Sox last year, did well.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. I just don't want his role and Downs' role in the trade to flip-flop.
Yeah.
Because Downs was this huge, promised success.
Absolutely.
And I just think maybe with the move to Worcester, I just think maybe this 1 year, you're just a little uncomfortable up there.
Mm-hmm.
You're still, I don't know, you're still getting at least a hit every other game, because you said 34 hits in 53 games.
He has, I believe it was, 34 hits in 50.
You're still getting hit every other game.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the productivity. The average might not show it as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what the Red Sox see in it, those hits that he has
11 home runs.
Right. What kind of clutch factor does he bring to the table? You could still hit 150, but if it's on the line and they know you're good at hitting in that situation, they'll call you a number.
Yeah, true. I mean, if it's in a situation where it's just not hitting not hitting grass where it should be, they might just want to give him that call anyways and see what he can do. So hopefully, and I'm saying hopefully he's able to be something here, because if it turns out that we let go of Xander Bogaerts after we were told, all right, we're getting rid of Mookie Betts so we can keep a guy like Xander Bogaerts, keep a guy like Rafi Devers, we're getting rid of him just because of that. If we end up losing Xander Bogaerts and then Jeter Downs is a dud, it
blows up in our face.
I'm gonna be so pissed at this point. Listen, I have given Chaim Bloom a lot of room here to work. I understand that the first move he was brought in to do was to trade Mookie Betts, so I get that, but this was his first move. So we got to see, how does this going to work out now? How is Jeter Downs going to perform at the big league level? In your mind, what do you expect from him?
If he gets that start tonight, I expect routine night, and I'm not expecting much to play. If he makes the plays he's supposed to in the field, I think it's going to be a good sign.
Would you expect him to get his first big league hit?
I'm going to give it a week.
Yeah.
I think you get 1 or 2, maybe 3 games to get adjusted, because the guys in AAA, they're throwing 93, 94.
Yeah.
You're going to be going to guys throwing 96, 97. You got to get that adjustment. You need that extra millisecond.
Okay.
And he plays in a sport where timing is everything. You blink, that ball is going to be by you. You have to take that adjustment. I think it's going to take 2-3 games, but I think within his first week, he'll get his first hit. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, Josh, we had a great episode today talking about, a lot of news in sports, but unfortunately we are now officially down to the wire, which means that we're going to wrap up everything we talked about on the show today and send all of you guys on your way. Obviously, Mr. Josh Houle joined us on the show today. Josh, it was great to have you on the show today. Absolutely. So we started things off today by talking about Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets reportedly being at a, quote, impasse on a new contract in their discussions. We talked about the Boston Celtics currently being the favorites to land Wizards star Bradley Beal, as well as, we talked about that in NBA news. Then we jumped over to NFL news and talked about Rob Gronkowski officially announcing his retirement from football. And finally, we wrapped things up in MLB news by talking about the Boston Red Sox calling up their number 5 prospect, Jeter Downs. Obviously, it was a great show. Was glad to have everyone on the program today. We wish you guys the best of luck. And if you are not falling down to the wire at this point, what are you guys doing? You guys can find us everywhere we stream podcasts, whether that be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. You can also find the video stream to this show on our YouTube and find all of the links in our Instagram bio at down.tothewire on Instagram. Again, at down.tothewire on Instagram. Josh, if there's anything you want to personally shout out, Peyton Priv Sports Hour, any of that stuff, feel free.
Yeah, Peyton Priv Sports Hour. Once we get back to school, we're going to be on Saturdays at noon. Unfortunately, we're slowly working to get into the podcast area, so we'll be posting our YouTube videos, the replays of it, to our channel at the Peyton Priv Sports Hour. So hopefully we'll get some viewers there.
Love to see it. All right. Well, from Down to the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
I'm Josh Houle.
And we hope you guys have a great day. Take care and peace out.